What made you stop watching?
For me it was like that meme going around a few years ago. I don't wish to be any, I wish to be happy.
I had a serious death grip problem. I regularly masturbated every day. After several years of going without I was starting to have again, and it was not good. Difficulty keeping it up, and no human could provide enough pressure to finish me. But I definitely don't have cardiovascular issues to explain the ed. So, I cut out and started only using a very light touch while less often, maybe twice per week. It was awkward to return to the technique of my youth, but it paid off. After about 6 weeks, my game was back. I no longer have trouble keeping it up and vaginas are great again.
Realizing that I had an addiction.
My stopped working for sexy time. Stopped watching, and within a few weeks he was back to my 15-year-old self at 30.
I found Dujin and realized I like taking my time reading the story a lot more than watching which led me to read novels, which led me to light novels, and now I can't stop reading.
Consistent with a long-term partner eliminated the desire for when I'm bored. And from maintenance, I just got disappointed with engines and videos. It all seemed the same. I'd have a hard time finding out what I wanted or was in the mood for. I spent more time clicking a random video generator than actually. My imagination and a long-term partner for source material was just easier and more satisfying.
When I started getting laid on a regular basis.
Death grip, couldn't get my first long-term relationship at 22. So it was the first time I was getting consistent action, and the first few times she was but on all fours facing me, I was just limp, desperately trying to not when she begged for a second round, still extremely flustered from the last one, and I'm just there trying really hard to get little bro up while she plays with herself until the point she's practically dry and done and tells me, it's okay. Having your not working at 22 is a real eye-opener, and was the first thing I thought of cutting. It worked within a few weeks for me and also made me a lot more passionate in bed since it was easy to get didn't seem like an issue until it was too late. Tears of joy.
Realizing how much it affects your brain. For me, seeking instant gratification really altered how I viewed reality by reducing how much reward I seeked in it, and everything in reality became much more dull and uninteresting as a result.
Realizing I was addicted to it.
My mental health. I felt terrible when I would watch it. I feel better without it in my life.
I realized that I had a serious addiction. I used to spend a lot of time consuming this sort of stuff, videos, games, comics, on a daily basis. I felt that I was wasting my life away, so I stopped making excuses and ended my relationship with. I promised to myself that I would never touch anything related again. In my no health or relationship trouble, just came to the conclusion that my life with included simply sucks.
Ceasing to suspend my disbelief and immediately realizing how odd of a thing it is. If I walked by a room and saw a couple people in there personally, my first response would not be to hang out in the doorway and start jerking it.
I realized I was using as a coping mechanism. Instead of tackling the problems in my life head-on, I could get that sweet hit of dopamine through my web browser to make it through the day. I've been free for over a year now, and my social anxiety has pretty much gone away entirely, and I feel fantastic.
Erectile dysfunction.
I saw a tweet, addiction is crazy cuz how you addicted to other dudes getting.
For me, it was the revelation that a huge amount of involves people that are being trafficked. Even people in the legit business are beholden to years-long handlers.
It hurt my wife. I didn't realize it affected her self-esteem so bad until I told her KNE day I watched it occasionally. Caused massive issues in our relationship for a while. So I stopped cold turkey, and it has improved our life tremendously and helps me stay hard a lot easier and longer. I am always now BC, I never relieve myself lol.
How extreme it's gotten. I liked better when it was about arousal and not abuse and shocking imagery. I don't even watch anymore. I haven't searched in a long time.
Work said it wasn't appropriate behavior in the office.
Ethical concerns.
As a woman, I feel such hope seeing so many men who got off with the specific intent to connect more fully with their significant other. erodes so many real-life connections, and I want to applaud all of you for taking that action to better yourselves and your loved ones.
Still fighting to fully quit and but I decided this year to try and stop consuming after I realized I suffer from death grip syndrome and had unrealistic expectations of. For me, was never pleasurable until I stopped. Now I can't get enough. My girl can't stand me. If only she knew. Lol.
My mom. I found her in a scene and never watched again.
In November, I tried No Nut November for the first time, and talking to women started feeling so much better. So, I'm trying to less now and life feels freaking amazing.
Realizing that I'd much rather have real life experiences than be some loser his own hand to a screen.
It turned into an addiction. And although some is safe or felony-free, much of it is inextricably linked to trafficking and also simply makes an object out of the human persons involved in these. Need to turn away is very strong when these things are considered fully.
I wish, bro. I swear I don't even get proper anymore. I just whack it when I need another shot of happy chemicals for 3 minutes.
Make vaginas great again.
I'm going through this right now and I'm glad to hear you're back to normal. Seems I now know what I have to do.
I'm worried about how you said no, human, could finish you. Did you try any non-human ones?
How did you beat it? That's interesting. I might have to try that. I'm in my 30s and my wife and I are trying to have another kid. I've noticed recently that it's increasingly harder to get hard for sexy time. I don't watch a ton of but maybe if I stop that would help.
For me it was a combo of SSRIs and eventually my stopped working. No morning wood, low testosterone, etc. Finally got scanned and I had a pituitary tumor. I'm slowly feeling ridiculously again like when I was 20.
This watched, and when I had the opportunity for I'd be super anxious and couldn't get aroused at all. What made it worse was I started wondering if I had ed at a young age because my didn't work. It took about 2 months of not watching for me to get back to being a normally functioning person. I wouldn't suggest edging during the time either, as you're still giving your brain the visual sensation.
This is low-key really wholesome and made me smile and laugh.
Haha, that's wholesome and great. Excuse me while I Google doujin hentai.
Pretty much same. I actually originally quit because I read a bunch of information about how it's a really abusive and exploitative industry, and a bunch of it is just actual So then I switched over to, since it doesn't involve any real people getting abused, and now I mainly read and write fiction, though I still like visual.
Man, I hope my BF ends up being like this when we move in together eventually. I know he looks at it once a day and we always act like animals when I visit him on the weekends, but it's back to daily when I'm gone. I know it's a quick dopamine fix for him. He does it immediately when he gets home from work and maybe once before bed. It's just my biggest fear, that he has an addiction and still try to look at it when I'm ready and willing daily and nightly and live with him. Hoping if I keep up my high libido this won't be an issue. Are you completely satisfied not looking at it if you have a very healthy life?
Share your power.
I'm not into football anymore. I'm just on the Dallas Cowboys, more Call of Duty. I bought a hockeyist.
Same with me. I realized it affects how I view and even my performance with. There seems to be a growing body of research about the dangers of consumption. Also, so many horror stories about the industry in general just adds to the layer of not really wanting to watch it.
Between that and video games, there are too many easy sources of gratification. You cut all of that out, you can get to a much more fulfilled and rewarding life.
Mine would.
I saw.
It's unfortunate how many women it impacts, but society has normalized men using even when in relationship, to the point women are called insecure, or controlling, or crazy, if they have an issue with it.
I hit puberty before the internet was the major medium of. I had to rely on R-rated movies and some softcore. There was some element of romance to it back then that I appreciated later on. It seemed somewhat healthier than the mainstream content we're seeing today. Now it's very, very extreme compared to what I watched as a teen.
Anyway, how's the job at the children's hospital?
You might be depressed.
I thought about going there. You did.
probably latex ones. Sorry to disappoint you, no animal stories here.
Non-dominant hand, so that I can control my phone better.
Induced erectile dysfunction is a thing.
Trying can be brutal, mechanical and clinical, and precisely takes all the spontaneity out of it, and potentially a lot of the years of trying for us. At some point we gave up and decided it would happen if it happened, and that was when it finally luck.
I had the opposite. I got hard but I could never finish, and I figured it was because I desensitized myself. I stopped watching altogether for a month. Now I finished WAAAY too early and I have to reverse it and find a middle ground.